Hello, my name is Gunnar Davis, and I'd like to welcome you to my group's narrated presentation for our career exploration project. My group is comprised of 6 members: Trent Mulhall, Samuel Cole, Cam Alloway, Ashton Yeager, me, and Damian Shepard, and we chose to explore the field of strength and conditioning. Without further ado, I'll send you to Trent.
My part of the group project was to go over research and literature. The first study I will be going over is the effects of speed, agility, quickness training on athletic performance, systematic meta-analysis. This study took 499 athletes across baseball, handball, soccer, different sports like that, and had them train speed, agility, and quickness 2-3 times a week for 4 to 12 weeks. What was shown was improvements in the 5-meter, 20-meter, 30-meter sprints, change of direction performances, reaction times, lower limb power, and flexibility. There was gradual improvements in all of those categories. The big takeaway that this study was done on adults and not children, so more research is needed, but it shows that you can train these things. And as a strength conditioning coach, you want the fastest athletes possible. The next study I'll be going over is the effects of rest period lengths and muscle hypertrophy in intra-exercise performance. Basically, this study took 12 resistance trained males over a 6-week period, aged 18 to 25, and saw if there was a difference between resting for 1 minute or 3 minutes in muscle hypertrophy. The study showed that there is not a difference. So the reason this is important is because it doesn't matter if you make your athletes wait 3 minutes or if you make them wait 3 minutes. 1 minute, you're still getting the same results out of your athletes. The next part of my paper was maximizing muscle hypertrophy, a systematic review, advanced resistance training, and methods. This study, this was a meta-analysis, so it took multiple research papers from Medline and Sports Discuss and basically saw what all the resemblance was in the paper. And it came down with you should train 3 to 4 reps away from failure, and you should do 3 to 6 sets of 6 to 12 reps at 60 to 80% of your 1 rep max, with a total volume of 12 to 28 sets per muscle per week. This is important because as a strength conditioning coach, you want the most gain for the least amount of time, and understanding how you can get that and how you can make your workouts, how you can program them to be the best for your athletes is incredibly important.
Hello, my name is Samuel Cole. I was tasked with the literature review and research integration for this section of our project. A little backstory on how I got into the strength and conditioning, why I want to be a strength and conditioning coach. As a young age, I've grown up around sports. I've been predominantly a 3-sport athlete for most of my life. I was a football player, basketball player, and a track athlete. So physical activity has always been a constant in my life. And lifting really picked up too when I walked into football for the first time in, I believe, my 8th grade year. And it just kind of arose as a passion for me, and I still do to this day. I love keeping my body in shape and all that other good stuff. For starter, me and Trent decided to combine our papers this way. He did the studies and it got his research, and I also did my own studies, but also for this we had combined them, as in I took his studies and combined them with our peer learnings and observations from their shadows and interviews. So let's get into it. Our initial study, first initial study about SAC training. Ben Morse is the director of sports performance here at BGSU. He is the head strength and conditioning coach of the baseball team, volleyball team, women's basketball team, etc. He uses SAC training for the baseball pitchers and volleyball players. Avery Lane is a strength and conditioning coach at, I believe, Toledo Whitmer, and he uses SAC training. He's also a career design coach here at BGSU, and he uses percentage-based progressions for high school athletes at Whitmer. And Kevin Long, who is the assistant director of sports performance here at BGSU, he is also the strength and conditioning coach of the track and field team, cross country team, gymnastics, swim and dive team, etc. And he uses sport-specific strategies for teams and for his teams. This is significant because it enhances movement efficiency, acceleration, and directional change capabilities. SAC training should be conducted 2 to 3 times a week for a duration of 4 to 12 weeks, which yields moderate improvements across various sports. This aligns with the coach's observations and practice. Consistent and structured training is essential for fostering long-term athletic growth. The second study was about rest period lengths and their impact on hypertrophy or muscle hypertrophy, which also clearly relates to the coach's experiences. A 1 minute and 3 minute rest interval do not significantly affect muscle growth, but instead reinforces the practical constraints strength coaches often face regarding time. During Gunner's shadowing observation, he had noticed that Kevin had a very tightly packed schedule, with him managing multiple teams and meetings throughout the day, which highlighted the need for efficient use of training time. Ben, likewise, is also involved in a lot of sports and stuff like that, and his single day illustrates the importance of being able to adjust rest periods without compromising muscle hypertrophy. And Avery's strict timetable, with him balancing morning football lifts for Whitmer, his daytime job, and evening sessions with his high school athletes, further exemplifies how research-backed flexibility and rest intervals enables coaches to optimize their limiting training time. The third study was about optimal volume, intensity, and frequency for muscle hypertrophy. The research that was conducted identifies that the most effective hypertrophy training consists of 3 to 6 sets of 6 to 12 repetitions at around 60 to 80% of an athlete's max. 1 rep max, basically, which is a 1 RM or 1 repetition maximum to be conclusive or direct, with a weekly volume target of 12 to 28 sets per muscle group. Avery emphasized that percentage-based training and weekly progression is rooted in this specific evidence as well. Bennett wished that he had pursued programming courses earlier in his career, which aligns with this research. Like grasping concepts of load, volume, and repetitions in reserve is crucial for crafting effective evidence-driven workouts. Kevin has organized programming for various sports that he does, which also reflects a practical understanding of balancing mechanical tension, fatigue, and weekly volume across different training phases. Throughout this, these studies kind of had a broad theme, which was evident throughout all of interviews and observations, which was the need for personalized evidence-based coaching. This research had indicated that hypertrophy, SAC advancements, and training adaptation are greatly influenced by consistency, volume, and customized intensity levels. Each coach had learned, or from what our peers had learned, each coach had stressed the importance of individual relationships, effective communication, and trust building as fundamental elements in successfully applying scientific principles. This research may clarify, what is physiologically effective. The coach's experiences illustrate how to effectively implement those principles with actual athletes. Ben's assertion that athletes only value what you know after they understand that you do care. Avery's had one-on-one connection with the athletes that he trains, and Kevin has a calm and thorough communication. During assessments, which all in the integration of scientific knowledge and interpersonal coaching that characterizes strength and conditioning practices.
So I interviewed Ben Morris here at BG. He's the director of sports performance for baseball, ice hockey, women's basketball, and volleyball. So I wanted to get his background on why he got into strength and conditioning, and kind of what he does on a day-to-day basis, and as well as some of the key points of his days and what makes his job worth having a career in. So he started his career at the University of Vermont, where he was originally going to major in economics and political sciences. However, he did a lot of training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where he competed, and he fell in love with the gym so much that he ended up pivoting his career path. He took the CS after graduation and got a job training the general population just at some random little shop that was able to get his foot in the door for strength and conditioning. He did say he worked with athletes here and there. He said he worked once with a Wake Forest pitcher, and he loved it so much that he ended up pivoting his he already had pivoted his career, but he ended up wanting to continue that path. So he took an unpaid internship at Boston University. He bartended to afford the cost of living because they obviously didn't pay him. So he really, really wanted to do it. So he made it work. He also moved into a graduate assistantship at the University of Iowa, where he was later promoted to an actual strength and conditioning coach because the one for the basketball team had left. So a few years later, he ended up getting the opportunity to become the director of sports performance here at BGSU. Some of the things I learned from Ben were his schedule is never the same. So day to day, you can't really provide a clear schedule just because it heavily depends on what sport is in season and also the travel needs of the teams that he is the strength and conditioning coach for. Another thing that really stuck with me from class was the philosophy. So Ben is very anti one size fits all. His philosophy adapts to team needs and individual needs because it helps build trust between the athletes and the strength staff. It helps build a relationship. And to build on that, he thinks that trust takes time. He thinks that if an athlete doesn't know you, they won't care about what you know. So he prioritizes getting to know athletes as people, and he engages in team building events such as team meals, road trips, and all that kind of stuff. One thing that was pretty interesting to me is that he uses Team Builder to track goals, and it's different for different sports and different positions within those sports. For example, he stated that for a volleyball player, he may record a setter's vertical jump, whereas for baseball, he would try to record a pitcher's pitch speed, and then a third baseman's ability to dive for balls, or certain things like that to track progress. And what is success for him? It's seeing an athlete he helped come back from injury, and then also team achievements. He stated that in 2020, BGSU didn't have a baseball team just because the lack of interest in it. However, now to this day, we have a pretty good baseball team. He thinks that is one of the greatest achievements in his career here at BG. And then finally, his advice for new entrances into strength and conditioning is just pursue those unpaid internships. He wouldn't be where he is without the one he did, and he recommends that everybody at least try it because that will truly test your love for the profession. And then also expect manual labor and expect the side work that will be added to your workload. He said it always changes, so you can never really truthfully expect one day to go the same as yesterday.
My name is Ashton Yeager, and for our project, my portion was to do the professional interview, and I decided to interview Avery Lane. Avery is an academic coach at BGSU, but he's a previous strength coach at several colleges and currently a part-time private strength and conditioning coach and a head strength coach for Toledo Whitmer football. He started his football career at the University of Cincinnati and transferred to Findlay to obtain his master's in education and got a minor in strength and conditioning there. He interned and worked with strength and conditioning for Eastern Michigan, University of Toledo, and University of Findlay. He has worked with almost every collegiate sport, including anywhere from volleyball, swimming, football, and hockey. He now trains high school athletes aspiring to go play at the next level so that they can develop in order to do that. I asked Avery a few questions, and I put my favorite ones on the slide that would fit. And the first question is, what made you get into strength and conditioning, and why do you love it? And Avery told me that he had played football for several different schools and realized that he enjoyed the lifting aspect and the science behind getting bigger, stronger, and faster. And he wanted to be a part of younger athletes' journeys while they strive to do the same thing he did. Then I asked him what methods are your favorite for seeing growth in your athletes. He told me he likes to use their percentages based off their max weightlifting numbers on each lift, and he takes those percentages and turns them into different reps so that they can see growth each week, and that's what he likes to see is the percentages, growth, and then numbers. I then asked him what has been the most rewarding moment for you as a coach, and he told me that he had coached an offensive lineman in high school in the weight room that went on to play for Ohio State and win a national championship last year. And he says this is the most rewarding for him because he felt like when he saw him win the national championship on TV that he had a part in his development and success as a player, and that was really special to him. Thank you.
On November 17th, I was privy to shadowing Kevin Long, the Assistant Director of Sports Performance here at BGSU. Kevin is in charge of the strength and conditioning of the cross-country, track and field, gymnastics, tennis, and swim and dive teams. Kevin shares his workspace with many others at the SIBO athletic facility, including athletic trainers, football coaches, and coaches of other sports. Some of Kevin's main responsibilities include programming his team's lifts, taking calls related to the job, attending virtual meetings and seminars on strength and conditioning, and Kevin is also in charge of the intern program for sports performance, and of course, coaching his own teams. Kevin's work atmosphere is very relaxed, with music always playing, people always talking, and everyone in the facility wears BGSU athletic gear. Continuing on with my experience, Kevin always structured his training sessions 3 to 6 sets of 6 to 12 reps per muscle group in each training session, with weights varying anywhere between 60 to 80% of an individual or athlete's 1 rep max. Some of the skills that were very prevalent to me during my time with Kevin were his time management, teamwork, leadership, responsibility, and integrity. No matter where Kevin went in the facility, he always carried a calm, respectful, and caring demeanor. Some of my personal takeaways from this experience were that programming exercise and working with athletes are 2 aspects that really appeal to me. Ever since I began weightlifting, I've become obsessed with developing and modifying programs for the best results, and the idea of being able to translate that into my career is beyond appealing. Some of the aspects of the job that I might not like are being at a desk often, taking calls, attending seminars, but that's part of any career, and to be able to do what it is that strength and conditioning coaches do, I'd say it's worth it. Now, I believe Damien's having some issues, so I think I'm ending it off. So I want to say thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my group's career exploration presentation.